Obviously, our educational system in the 21st century has collapsed or is almost useless. The 21st century, where we are talking of fourth and fifth industrial revolution, we are facing challenges of young people roaming the streets. We are facing challenges of people after graduating not getting jobs. We are facing challenges of youth, not knowing what next to do, as what they have studied sometimes has become useless. Some of them have never used their certificate. So that's why today we'll be looking at, can we continue like this? Is it not obvious that there is a need to restructure and revolutionize our educational system in Africa? Because in Africa, we need to know that we were colonized and packaged to become factory slaves or farm slaves. And so the kind of education we have was meant to be job seekers, not job creators. So the kind of education we have was meant for us to look for jobs, serve the colonial master, serve the capitalist, and serve in industries and government systems, without having to think of a day like this, when government will lack capacity to employ, when industries will downsizing, when systems can collapse to the point that we have many youth not doing anything, whereas they have gone to the four walls of university, and many are calling themselves academic illiterates. So how do we solve that? What are we looking at? We must have to understand these following terms as we proceed. Look at the tripod of education. We have what's called the educated, we have the uneducated, we have the miseducated. So what we say, someone is educated, and what is actually the use of education? What is the structure and the purpose of education? Education is meant to solve these four needs of you having the ability to read, to write, to calculate, and to be analytic in reasoning. When you have got these four dimensions, automatically you are educated. But we begin to look at people, calling some people illiterate and other people non-illiterate, or all the sort of languages they use against people, which is not correct. So today we'll be looking at the uneducated, the miseducated, and how do we come to a position where everyone will have to become useful without having to be useless because of what you studied. What is uneducated? Uneducated is you lack capacity, ability to reason, to calculate, to be analytic. That's just like an opposite of educated. Miseducation is one aspect that people have not even heard about, but we are talking about it. What is miseducation? Yes, you have gone to school, you have studied, you are even a professor of politics, political science, or a professor of geophysics, or a professor of medicine and surgery, and all of a sudden you discover that you have talent, giftings, and callings that is begging for attention, and you decide to go into music, abandon all you have studied for years, probably 20 years, 25 years, 35 years, and then that's where you are now making your living. Means you were miseducated. And that's why we're trying to prevent the youth of today, that they shouldn't be miseducated. That is why we are looking at restructuring, revolutionizing African system of education. And how do we do so? We need to look at the dimensions of education. And today, I'm proposing 8 dimensions of education. And these 8 dimensions of education, we have to understand it. First, we have what is called personal education. Personal education is one's ability to know yourself, to understand your capacities, to understand your abilities, to also know what you are capable of doing, because in you, we have the known you, which you know and others know. We have the hidden you, which you may not know and others know. We have you that the society know and you may not even know. But however it be, for one to take a decision of what to use to sustain his life, he must have to come to that educational system where you will know yourself. Man, know thyself. Academic education, which we have talked about, that has four major functions of educating you how to read, write, calculate, and be analytical in reasoning. Because most of the things you do, you need to calculate. You need to know when you are doing one or two things. Plus one, 1 plus 1 is 2, and all that. We need that kind of level of education. We also have what I call technical and vocational education. Technical and vocational education is that kind of education that we are proposing in this current dispensation of fourth industrial revolution, where every level of education you must be able to be technical, it must be a vocational, so that you're able to do something for somebody. Financial education, most times people are not taught financial education. It's important we incorporate this financial education. We'll talk about it, because financial education, you need to know what's happening in the marketplace. You need to be able to handle your business properly. You need to know the business, the intelligence of finance, how money flows, how to create wealth, how to understand the spirit of money, how to understand the language of money. Because at the end, we're all looking for money. So we also have what I call business and leadership education. It's important we train people, because we are looking for leaders who will sustain good governance. So we must create a system that will keep training our leaders, keep training the kind of leaders we want in the society. So that is why leadership education is important. Leadership education is important because without leadership, nothing happens. Without leadership, the system cannot move. That's why we need leaders, and we must have to cover a kind of educational system based on the direction we want our leaders to go. I'm introducing another kind of education called native intelligence education. This native intelligence education, those in the rural areas, those in different areas, have already had education before the coming of the white man. We have Africa has already had their education, and this education has already been transferred by folktale. Our technology has been transferred by folktale. We have a kind of a system of education that was already existing, including our technology as Africans. But we lost this when we embrace this kind of education that is almost useless today. Native intelligence education is what we must bring into this current dispensation. Specialized professional education, so important, because at the end you are going to be known for something. You are going to be known for something. Maybe as a pilot, as a medical doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, as a whatever. So you're going to be known for something. Thank you very much as you join us in part 2 of this discussion. God bless you.